Happy
Thanksgiving.
From the pastors of Epic, we wish you a wonderful day of gratitude.
We pray that your celebrations are filled with gladness and joy.
As we move from gratitude into a season of expectation, we invite you to join us this Advent for a new series called What Do You Fear? Insisting on hope this Advent.
Advent is a season of waiting, of wondering, and sometimes of fear. But together, we'll be insisting on hope, trusting that God is still showing up in unexpected places.
One way we'll be exploring that hope is through our Advent Bible studies on Thursdays, the December 4th, 11th, and 18th.
You can join us in person at Crema Coffee inside Tabor Space from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. or online on Zoom from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Each week, we're going to dig into the passage we'll be preaching for the following Sunday. It's a space to wrestle with the text, ask questions, and go a little deeper than we can on a Sunday morning.
It's also a great chance to connect across our Epic community. Different churches, shared faith, one spirit moving among us.
This Sunday's passage is Luke 1, verses 5 through 13. We hear Luke's account of the prophecy of the birth of John the Baptist.
Since our studies take place on Thursday, each of us want to share a thought that stands out to us from today's passage.
The passage, for me, that part of it stands out most is the opening line, in the time of Herod. This was a marking that we might breeze past because it's not the nuts and bolts, but it indicates to us a reign of over 30 years of somebody who did not care about the least of these. And so for this community that was being heard, even in the midst of a world that refused to hear them or where they felt powerless. And I see a lot of parallels in our life today of the ways we feel powerless to people who might classify our season of life and still a yearning to be heard.
I'm struck that Zechariah's visitation comes while he's completely alone. If you think about it, that angel could have shown up at any point in the day of his life, but he is in a place of solitude and prayer when he receives the message. And I wonder what that means in terms of our own living. I wonder how we might find places this Advent season for some solitude and prayer, to separate ourselves from the busy, joyful, noisy lives that most of us lead. It's a way of taking back fear from being alone and finding God's Spirit in that place and being empowered by that.
I'm intrigued by the choice of the name John, because it isn't exactly in this passage, but it is in right after this passage. They talk about everybody being like weirded out by choosing to name the baby John. And I looked up the name, I looked it up in Hebrew, I looked it up in Greek, and Yochanan, the Hebrew version, is Jonathan, as in King David's best friend. So were people a little disturbed because Jonathan had become a queer-coded name in Hebrew thought? So what was God up to with bringing that particular name into the story?
I take great comfort in this, that God hears all of our prayers and holds our grief and our longing and our fears, and God answers us according to God's perfect purpose and God's perfect timing.
Friends, Advent begins in the dark, but the light is coming.
So bring your questions, your fears, and your hope. There's room for it all.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We'll see you soon for Advent.